What's up, y'all? The Chrome Corner's back. UFC 261 fight picks are in for your boy Charlie T and Chrome. Charlie T, what's going on?
What's up, dude? I'm excited. Fans are back.
Fans are back. Biggest, by far, going to be the biggest card of the year, at least so far. I mean, the only one that might rival it would be a Jones and Ngannou, McGregor, Poirier, something like that. But this is a huge card, so could be the biggest of the year. 3 title fights and some good contenders other than the title fights as well. So, Charlie, you got your Memphis T on. I see your University of Memphis T-shirt. I see you rocking, representing the home.
Tigers, dude. Gotta rep the Tigers.
Gotta rep. All right, UFC 261. We always start with the guest. As you know, the first fight on the main card, we have Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. Tell us what you got, Charlie.
I like Jimmy Crute just because he's a very, I would say, diverse fighter style. You know, he can either submit you or knock you out. I mean, we saw him on the Contender Series, and he's got two knockouts in the UFC. He's also got 2 submissions, so his fights usually don't go the distance. And even Anthony Smith, he's always fought, especially in his later career, he's fought top level contenders. I mean, he beat Mauricio Rua, he beat Alexander Gustafsson, which is really impressive. But especially in that Glover Teixeira fight, he looked completely, I would say, not outmatched, but he gassed out really easy. And a guy like Crute is going to continue to push the pace, and if you gas out against him, he's going to take advantage of it. I just really like him as a fighter, so I'm taking him. And I am taking him by second round knockout, because his fights usually don't leave the first round, but I'm saying it gets to the second round. But yeah, he's an up-and-comer, so watch out for him.
Okay, so you got Crute. You're going with the up-and-comer versus the veteran here.
Yep.
Which way do you think I'm going to go?
I think you're going to go with the veteran, dude.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with the veteran here and Anthony Smith.
Okay.
I would say this was the hardest fight for me to pick on the card because I do see this being it's a fork in the road for Anthony Smith. You know, everyone knows Glover is a tough fight. He's one of the top contenders. He's older, but he's got a base of skills and he's got a lot of heart, so he's tough to beat. So, and Anthony Smith's been going through a lot in his life, but this is a fork in the road here because as far as Anthony Smith's ranking and as far as his name value, he should beat Jimmy Crute. But a lot of people see him declining, and they're saying, is he going to beat Jimmy Crute? So I'm going to roll with Smith, but I wouldn't be surprised if Crute takes this one. I'm going to go Smith by decision. Probably takes, barely takes 2 of 3 rounds, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. Crute's definitely got some skills. He's an athletic guy, strong. Wouldn't surprise me, but I'm just leaning a little bit towards Smith.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next fight, we've got a former champion in Chris Weidman, and we've got an explosive guy who's had some ups and downs. Both guys have had ups and downs, but we've got Chris Weidman versus Uriah Hall. Weidman's known for his ground game. Hall's known for his stand-up. But in their previous fight, Chris Weidman versus Uriah Hall, which was a long time ago, Chris Weidman knocked him out, which is surprising. So that throws a weird little wrench in there, a weird little twist. It doesn't always mean anything when it's that long ago, but sometimes it can get in guys' head a little bit. I'm going to go with Weidman, and I think that it's a boring fight. I think that there's a lot of grappling. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say stalling, but, Weidman's not exactly known for being the most ferocious guy in there. So I think once he gets in the grappling game and on the ground, I don't think he finishes Hall. But I think that it's a boring decision for Weidman. What do you think?
Yeah, I disagree. I think Weidman's on the tail end of his career. I think his best days are far behind him.
Okay.
He dominated by Dominic Reyes at light heavyweight. That sent him back down to middleweight. And at middleweight, he had the 3 straight losses when he lost the belt to Rockhold, and then he lost to Romero, and then Gerard Mousasi. But Uriah Hall is probably the most disappointing. I'm not saying he's a disappointing fighter. He's like one of the most exciting, most talented fighters I've ever seen. Disappointing careers from the standpoint of, we saw him on Tough. We saw how talented this guy was. He had probably the most brutal knockout in the history of MMA, if not, ever. That spinning back kick, that was just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
He just hasn't lived up to the potential that everybody knew he had, which sucks because he's still a great fighter. I mean, right now he's on a 3-fight win streak. I mean, the last fight he knocked out Anderson Silva, which 10 years ago would have carried a lot more clout than now. But I think he gets his revenge on Weidman. As we see, Weidman, as of recent, has been susceptible to knockouts. So I think Uriah Hall knocks him out, and I think he does it early. I think he knocks him out in the first or second round.
Damn. Okay. So we got two opposite picks already going down the card. But I'm not overly confident in either one of those fights going a certain way. It's not going to surprise me. I'm not super gung-ho about Smith or Weidman. We're on to the first of 3 title fights for the main card. We've got Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. Andrade seems to be bouncing around to all the divisions she can to try to get these title fights and bouncing around weight classes and such. And she's got power in her hands wherever she is, but she's facing Valentina Shevchenko. So, what do you think?
Dude, I know some experts are picking against Valentina Shevchenko in this fight. I don't know why, because I don't see Andrade beating her at all. She has dominated this division. She's beaten the best of the best. I mean, she beat Joanna. She beat Liz Carmouche. I thought she beat Amanda Nunes in their last fight at 135. But yeah, dude, I don't see her. I just see this being a unanimous decision win for Valentina, because 2 of her Andrade's last fights, put in perspective, at strawweight she lost to Zhang and then she lost to Rose, but I don't see a path to victory for her here. I just, as much as I want to, I thought she was incredibly impressive when she had that knockout slam of Rose, but Valentina's just on a whole nother level from her. So, yeah, unanimous decision. I don't even think it's close.
I agree with pretty much everything you said. In the Andrade versus Rose fight, Rose was piecing her up until she got slammed. She was handedly winning that on the stand-up, and then Andrade just happened to get that slam, and she's extremely powerful. I don't see there being any chance she gets that type of a slam on Valentina. I think Valentina is probably the most athletic female fighter. If off the top of my head, I think she's by far one of the most athletic. Andrade is probably one of the most powerful, but Valentina is a crazy athlete. She's disciplined. She's got weapons in every facet of fighting, and I'm with you. I think she beats her handedly. I don't think there's any question or too much to even look into there. The only chance Andrade's got to land a bomb if she happens to catch her. We've got Weili Zhang, or Zhang Weili, I don't know which way it's supposed to be said at this point. It goes back and forth. Versus Thug Rose Namajunas for the title. And we're back to my pick. So, I like both of these fighters. I hate that one of them has to go home not the champion after this. But I'm going to go with Weili. I think that she pulls it off. I think both fighters are tough. for the division, probably the 2 toughest fighters in the division. But you got to throw in Joanna and those 2 are the toughest 3 by far. I don't think any of the other fighters are close to these 3. But I think Weili gets it. I think she's a little bit tougher than Rose. I think Rose she's skilled in certain areas where she can pull off a point win or a possible, using her range and scoring points. But I just think Weili's tougher, and I think she's more athletic. She's stronger. I just see her getting it done, and I think it's kind of a long shot for Rose. But again, I like both fighters. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking Zhang as well, even though I don't think she should be champion, because I think Joanna beat her in that fight last year, which was, God, that was one of the best fights I've ever seen.
Nah, Zhang took that.
Oh, no, I thought Joanna had it. God, she was good. It's just a slugfest, and I feel like if Rose gets into a slugfest with Zhang, she's going to get knocked out, and I think she will get knocked out. A later round knockout, maybe round 4 or 5 in the championship rounds. I think she's got to fight a very smart fight to win, and Rose is very susceptible to getting drawn into, a slugfest. And Zhang's just she's so fast with her hands. I just, I see one exchange on her clipping Rose, and that's all she wrote. Full down knockout, and then she fights your girl again, and she gets beat.
Joanna?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a great rematch. I do hope to see that. And you gotta think too, Rose has those wins over Joanna, so that would be a 3-person round robin for a little bit again if it came out to be that. Yeah, you know what I'm curious to see though? I hope at some point in this fight we get to see these 2 on the ground and really try to go at it, because I'm curious what Weili's ground game's like. I mean, I don't.
Me too, but I don't see it. I think they stand up the majority of it.
Yeah, I don't think that Rose is strong enough to hold Weili down. I think she's too athletic and strong to be held down by Rose. Rose is just more of the finesse, lengthy fighter, Anyways, okay, so we agreed on the last 2. We'll go into the main event of the night, the one that Masvidal is the only fighter on the card that's coming off of a loss. And the person he's coming off of a loss to is the person he's fighting again, which is Kamaru Usman. And so I think let me take a look. I was going to say Usman's the biggest favorite, but him and Shevchenko are both tied. They're both really, really heavy favorites at -455, which is crazy heavy, big favorite.
I think he is the biggest favorite in title fight history.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So, then that would make Shevchenko tied. They're both the same, but
for good reason. I mean, they're both incredible fighters. So.
Facts, and both have been dominating everyone. So, makes sense. So, we are to you with this pick.
Okay, so we all saw Marty Usman fight Street. I like Covington's nickname, Street Judas. At 251, Masvidal at 251. Am I the only one who thinks that this rematch is completely unwarranted? I mean, I watched Masvidal fight Usman, then I watched Covington fight Usman. And Colby was beating Marty until that 5th round knockout, which is, you can say controversial stoppage, whatever, but he was beating him on the scorecards. And Covington can hang with Marty in terms of wrestling and stand-up, as we saw. And if that fight would have went the distance, I think Colby would have got a split decision and maybe unanimous decision. The rematch should be him versus Marty. I mean, I know this is an easier fight for Usman to take Masvidal, because all he's going to do is just put him in the clinch up against the fence. Knees, elbows, he's going to stomp on his feet. If he takes him to the ground, like he did a few times, it's going to be another just snooze fest, which, I mean, for casual guys watching, Masvidal has a lot of casual fans, it's going to be boring, but that's the way Usman can fight. I mean, he's He's a very skilled wrestler. And Masvidal's only hope to win is just like, you know, hoping to engage in like a stand-up war, which Marty's not going to do. He's going to win 50-45, unanimous decision. If he doesn't, I'd be shocked. But I think this will be one of the most predictable main events ever. Marty Usman, unanimous decision.
Unanimous decision, 50-45. Okay. I have the same pick as you. I just think the fight's going to go a little different. I think Usman's going to take it, but I think that he wins 3 rounds to 2. I could see him taking it 4 rounds to 1. But I think Masvidal is going to make enough changes and be in good enough shape to land more shots in at least 2 of the 5 rounds. But what I think is going to happen is, or I'm back and forth on this a little bit, but I feel like there's going to be a weird situation in a couple rounds where Masvidal does more damage from the stand-up, but he gets held down a lot, and it's going to come down to, do the refs care more about the damage or care more about the control and the takedowns? And most of the time we see them care about the takedowns, you know, and then being held down. They say that guy who got held down lost the round, right?
Yeah.
And there's always the argument of, well, he didn't do any damage, this and that, because we know Usman's he's not going to sit there and Tito Ortiz, you know, ground and pound you from back in the day while he's on top. He's going to throw little shots here and there. He's going to kind of hold you a little bit. I think Usman's going to win. I think he's going to win 3 rounds to 2 if they give Masvidal 1 or 2 rounds from the damage. If they don't, he could go all the way to winning 5 rounds, like you said. I think we all know that Masvidal's best shot is to either cut him badly or early, you know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, and then that become a problem for Usman, or, you know, a rock him with something big. And the fan in me that likes the chaos wants to see something like that happen and there be more turmoil and everything, but the hardcore fan to me that knows the skills just doesn't see it happening, you know?
No, neither do I. I think Masvidal, I think as much as I'd like to see him get in a stand-up war with Marty,
I agree with your point earlier. I do think it's very obviously more deserved for Colby to get the rematch.
Yeah, Colby and Marty's the fight to make. I mean, shit, dude. Like, anybody who watched their first fight would tell you that. Watch that fight compared to him versus Usman. He called out Usman because Usman's the easier fight.
Masvidal.
He doesn't. I mean, he called out Masvidal because Masvidal's the easier fight. He does not want to fight Colby again. If he did, he would have called Colby out because him and Colby don't like each other. Those
are our picks for the UFC 261 fight card. We got 3 title fights on this. Sure, we'll come back with another video for y'all soon. And that's our picks. We're out.
Boom.
Boom.